Revolution! Are you ready? Black hole! Black hole! Black hole! Revolution!
Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Evol Blackhole form, or basically Phase 4. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this figure was a sudden purchase for me. So time to time, I sometimes search around for secondhand stuff for this and that. It's not that I'm looking for a specific thing. I will just usually go into some, hobby shops that sell secondhand products, and among looking into those, I found a new hobby shop that I was not aware of, and they were selling this as a secondhand product for a very cheap price, about half the price of the original price that I know, half price of the currently selling price at the moment. So I had to jump in and get this figure right away. The reason why they were selling this cheap was that they mentioned on the back there's a paint scratching, and I'm not really seeing it too much. I mean, I'm just gonna show this on camera. I'm not. If you guys can see it, do let me know. But I can barely see the scratch on the back. So either way, it was a big win for me, and I'm very happy for it, because these are one of those figures that even on pre-order it was very expensive, to the point where I knew I was not able to get it, even though I wanted the figure. Because for those who don't know, I have like some of these basic rules I follow when it comes to purchasing stuff, and this thing basically, exceeded all my, standards, so all my rules, so I could not purchase it. But once again, now I have it, so let's see what we got. So I'm just gonna mention this right off the bat. This figure is one of those figures that is a very simple thing. So it's one of those figures that you buy because you like the character, not because like all the stuff that comes with it. Because when you look at the components, you'll kind of get the idea what I mean by that. Because in the series, this is basically the final boss character, and he's very powerful to the point where the main characters just could not defeat him at the end. Of course, on the last episode they kind of defeat him, but he's still alive, and technically, but still, yeah. Alright, so let me get him off the stand and let's see what we got. So for those who did not watch Kamen Rider Build Series, or basically this thing, or this guy is not human on the inside. He's actually a alien life form, and he is in his most powerful rider phase at the moment. In the box it will say Phase 4, but there's also a Phase 1, 2, 3, but luckily the figure actually comes in a set because they give you Phase 1 as the basic, and then they give you parts to make Phase 2 and Phase 3, so no need to worry about that. But I would love to get that version as well someday. So yeah, this is his alien form, and this is the form where it pretty much bugs the main characters a lot. So before we go over articulation, let's see what we got. So when I meant by it's a very simple component, this is all you get. So you get, let's see, including the ones that I'm currently using, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 4 sets of hands and 1 extra right hand, which is pretty much meant for the Evol driver handle part. So this is what you use. You put the handle inside here. What I mean by handle, if you look at the belt, there should be a handle on the side right over here. That's basically the handle that you use it for. So technically in Phase 1, 2, and 3, he does actually use weapons. There was this, he uses a gun, and I believe he also used a sword for a short time, which was technically which belonged to a different character, but still. But in this form, he barely used any weapons because he was just too powerful at the point where he just pretty much taunted his enemies at that point. So it's a bit sad, but if you already had like the previous figures, you should have that weapon. But currently I do not have the Trans Steam Gun. I do have the Nebula Steam Gun, but I believe that's a slightly different mode, but still, yeah. So you get all these hands. So currently I'm using the fist hands. Other than that, let's see what we got. So this hand I already mentioned, it's for the Evol driver. Here we have some extra trigger hands. So these are basically the hands I was mentioning. If you have the previous weapons, you should be able to use those weapons with these hands. Now I did technically test out with the Nebula Steam Gun. It does, I mean, I can kind of force it to fit in, but the handle seems to be a little bit too fat for the hand, so it felt slightly awkward, but still it works. So I would assume the Trans Steam Gun should work if you have an extra of those, and other rider weapons if you want to do so. Here we have 2 styles of open hands. These are mostly meant for posing. So here we have pretty much the standard basic fully open hands for posing. And here we have slightly different open hands, so you can see the fingers are in a different position. These are meant for specific poses that he does in the show, because while he is very powerful, he's not one of those serious types. He's like one of those easygoing character things. I mean, when he's doing his plans, he's pretty serious about it, but when talking to others, he's not like that scary. He talks very casually to his enemies as well. Alright, so let's see what we got for articulation. So, you might be thinking, because of all those stuff going on at the top, he might not have very good articulation, but no, he actually has pretty much standard articulation, although I would say the most limitations would be on the legs because of those robes. I'll get into that later. Anyway, let's see what we got. So, for phase 1, 2, and 3, basically you could just imagine this. His top section in this black hole form is basically black and white, but you can see his other parts, like his arms and legs, are in this beautiful gold, blue, and red color scheme. So, basically, if you just imagine his phase 1 form to be in this, but the black and white sections to be in the same color scheme as his arms and legs. Almost. I believe the chest should be slightly different, but still you get the idea. So, as you can see, I've reviewed a good amount of Kamen Rider figures, and you can definitely tell that this one has a different feel for it. Even for the head, definitely has that alien-style design compared to other riders. Okay, so let's see what we got. The head definitely looks cool, so you can go down that much, up that much, and then 360 is technically possible if you kind of force it. One thing I noticed is that, yeah, at first I thought these were pure clear parts, but looking at the back now, they kind of did this extra silver paint going on here to give that extra shine look. So I think that was really cool for me as well, and they did a pretty good job on the paint. These parts would be like one of those parts that would be obvious if they kind of messed up the paint, but I think they did an okay job for now. Of course, like, there is one problem is I think the left and right, they're not exactly the same amount of paint, so that is one bummer, but still, oh well. So that's that. Now looking at the body, definitely loving the black and white color scheme going on here. I was actually hoping that the entire rider, when this form was announced, I was kind of hoping that all the other parts would be having the same color scheme, but then again, that might have been a little bit too, that might have a different response, but still. And here we have the back section. Definitely there's a lot of stuff going on here as well. So the body is pretty good. You still have a nice decent ab crunch going on here. And then 360, I would not say not possible. Well, I mean, technically I can force it, but once again, if you force it, you're gonna definitely get the belt stuck in there like last time. So yeah, but I'm just gonna say the body articulation is actually pretty good than you think. And then let's get the shoulders. Now the shoulders, at first you might wonder that there's definitely no movement there, and yeah, you're technically right. But according to the manual, you can actually these are one of those shoulders where you can pull out. Give me a moment. You can pull out to get more articulation. See it like that. So you do have a forward and backward movement going on there. 360 twist should be no problem as well. Of course, there is one part that you need to be careful. This part does actually does collide with the shoulder a lot, so be careful when you're doing so. And then the arm itself could go about less than 90 degrees, mostly due to the armor parts as well. But 360 on the lower arm is possible, and we get a pretty nice, decent bend going on here. And definitely loving that paint scheme and color scheme going on here. And the fists or hands are your typical ball jointed connection, where the ball joint is on the arm, not on the hands. And even the fist has these spikes going on here, so he definitely has these claw-ish like hands. Now in the series, or in his phase 1 form, when he transforms into phase 1, this part kind of spins, but this part does not actually have any movement as well, so don't try to force it. And you might wonder, like, these parts may look like they're actually connected to the main shoulder here from here, but no, if you look at here, nothing is actually connected onto the side. So it's actually this whole giant piece connected to the outside of the shoulder. So I guess that's less worry, and if it was connected here, then it would be a much more problematic, where this part would have been moving up and down on its own. So that's, I think they made the right choice. Alright, and now looking at the belts, definitely, this is not our first time seeing the Evol driver. I did review Kamen Rider Mad Rogue, so it's still the same belt. We still have the bottles, of course. The ones that Evol uses is actually a little bit different. They actually they're not exactly full bottles, they're actually like very specific special ones as well. So they actually do have a slightly different design and color scheme going on here, but still works. This is the Rider System bottle. I forgot the exact terms because I didn't buy the belt. And other than compared to Mad Rogue, the difference is that we actually get the black hole trigger going on here. Once again, it's been a while since I've seen this, but we also get, this is basically like his equivalent of the hazard trigger as well. Once again, I've actually tried pulling it out, and it does not come out as well. So I think this is a, they molded this together or basically glued it on. So yeah. And the handle still moves as well, so no need to worry about that. Alright, and then now the legs. Now, I have reviewed another rider that had robes, and that one had a different, material. That was more rubberish. Now this one also is also kind of rubber, but definitely has a different feeling. It does bend, but the surface detail or surface feel is definitely different. I'm not sure what they call this. Maybe it's kind of silicone-ish feeling going on here. But yeah, it does kind of get in the way on the legs, but not as much as you think. So it does bend around. So the back section kind of bends, but the ones on the side, I don't think they kind of bend as much as they do compared to the ones on the back. So just be careful. But you are able to move this around, and I don't think these should rip that easily. And I'm still figuring out like how they're connected compared to a regular figure. But the legs, we still have a nice side swivel going on here. You can go about 490 degrees, and then backwards, not so much because all the stuff going on here as well. I mean, technically, you can work your way out by moving these stuff by between the ropes once again, but there is a limit to that as well. And then we get a very nice bend going on the knees, and then we have your typical SHF Rider style feet articulation where you can go left and right. We have a nice pivot going on here a lot. And then we have a nice toe bend like that. And that's pretty much it for articulation. And yeah, since this thing does not really have any weapons, I don't have anything much to, demonstrate for you guys. Now, as I mentioned, these are one of those figures that doesn't come with any weapons. There are actually a lot of figures out there that are like this when you think about it. So if you're buying that rider, you're pretty much buying it because you like the rider, you like the character. And I would have to say I really like this character, not because he was like, of course he was kind of cool, but he was also one of the first enemies that like really like put the main characters in danger to the point where he just kept winning. Or of course there were times he lost, but he came back even stronger, and he just doesn't die. So it was definitely one of those interesting characters out there from the series. So which is why I definitely admired him, and hence buying the figure. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the review. If you guys got any questions or you request, leave me a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and review. This was the review of the P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Evol Blackhole form, or Phase 4. If you guys got any questions or request, leave me a comment below. Until then, see you guys next time.